Ever wondered why men and women react differently to certain situations or why they perceive things in a unique manner? Well, you're not alone. For centuries, the intricate differences between men and women have been a subject of interest. It's fascinating, isn't it? In this video, we're taking a closer look at 25 little-known differences between men and women. Yes, 25. We're going beyond the obvious and diving into the deep, sometimes surprising aspects of our gender differences. From the way we think to how we communicate, right down to our physical responses, we're uncovering it all. You might be asking, why is this important? Simply put, understanding these differences can lead to better communication, healthier relationships, and a greater appreciation for what makes each gender unique. So, are you ready for this insightful journey? Dive in as we delve into the world of gender differences, some of which you might never have considered before. Starting off with our first point, did you know that men and women perceive colors differently? Yes, you heard that right. Studies have shown that women can distinguish between subtle shades of colors more accurately than men. For instance, while a man might just see green, a woman might see sage, mint, or avocado. Moving on to the second difference, let's talk about spatial awareness. Ever wondered why men are usually more confident when it comes to parking a car? Well, research indicates that men typically have a better spatial awareness than women, which means they're more adept at mentally manipulating objects and understanding the relationship between them. The third difference we're going to discuss is physical strength. It's no secret that men are generally stronger than women in terms of brute strength. This is largely due to the fact that men have higher levels of testosterone, which contributes to greater muscle mass. But remember, strength isn't just physical. Women often surpass men in terms of emotional strength and resilience. Speaking of emotional intelligence, that's our fourth difference. Women tend to have a higher emotional intelligence than men, meaning they're usually better at recognizing, understanding, and managing emotions. They're more likely to pick up on subtle emotional cues and empathize with others. Finally, let's talk about the fifth difference: risk-taking behavior. Men are typically more likely to take risks compared to women. This tendency can be seen in various aspects of life, from financial investments to extreme sports. However, it's important to note that this isn't a hard and fast rule. There are plenty of women who are risk-takers and men who are more cautious. These are just the tip of the iceberg, so stay tuned for more. Moving on to our next set of differences, have you ever noticed how men and women handle stress differently? Let's start there. When under stress, men generally prefer to retreat and spend time alone to recharge. On the other hand, women typically seek out social interaction as a way to relieve stress. This divergence is often referred to as the fight-or-flight response for men and the tend-and-befriend response for women. Next up, consider multitasking abilities. While it's a common stereotype that women are better multitaskers, research does suggest that women may be better at juggling multiple tasks at once. Men, however, tend to excel when focusing on one task at a time. It's not about superiority, but rather about how our brains are wired differently. Now let's talk about communication style. Women are often more expressive and verbose in their communication, using language to build relationships and establish connections. Men, conversely, tend to be more reserved and direct, using communication as a tool to convey information and solve problems. The fourth difference in our list is pain tolerance. Did you know that women generally have a higher pain tolerance than men? This difference is often attributed to biological factors such as childbirth. However, it's important to note that pain perception is highly subjective and can be influenced by a variety of factors including emotional state, cultural background, and personal experience. Finally, we come to reaction to illness. There's a reason the term man flu has become popular. Studies suggest that men may indeed experience worse symptoms and recover slower from certain illnesses than women. This could be due to hormonal differences or variations in immune response. These differences may seem surprising, but they are just a part of what makes us unique. So next time you find yourself baffled by behavior from the opposite sex, remember, it's these differences that make us all the more fascinating. As we continue, you might find it interesting to learn about the differences in how men and women handle conflict. Let's dive right in. When it comes to conflict resolution, men often adopt a more competitive approach, seeing disagreements as a battle to be won. Women, however, usually see conflict as an opportunity for discussion and compromise. This isn't to say one approach is better than the other, but rather that they are distinctly different. Next, let's talk about the decision-making process. Men are typically more likely to make decisions quickly and independently, often relying on instinct and gut feelings. Women, on the other hand, might take a little longer to make decisions, as they tend to weigh up all the options and consider the impact on others. This can make women's decisions appear more thought out and inclusive. Now, about memory recall. Women generally have a greater capacity for remembering small details and are more likely to recall emotional memories than men. Men, however, are more likely to remember abstract images and are better at spatial memory. This difference might be why your girlfriend remembers the exact date of your first kiss, but you remember the layout of the restaurant where it happened. Moving on to social interactions, women are usually more empathetic and better at picking up on emotional cues. They tend to build close, intimate relationships, while men often form larger, more casual social networks. This difference in social interactions can lead to different communication styles between the sexes. Lastly, we have the sense of direction. Men, generally speaking, are more likely to use cardinal directions and estimate distances based on the geometry of the surroundings. Women, conversely, tend to use landmarks and relative positions to navigate. So, if you've ever wondered why your husband insists on using north, south, east, and west while you prefer using the big red barn as a reference, now you know why. As we can see, these differences can greatly affect our daily interactions and perceptions. Delving deeper, we come across some truly fascinating differences in the way men and women perceive the world around them. For instance, let's take empathy levels. It's been found that women often score higher in empathy tests, showing a more intuitive understanding of others' emotions. This isn't to say that men lack empathy, they just tend to exhibit it in different ways, often focusing more on problem solving rather than emotional understanding. Moving on, let's explore learning style. Research has shown that men tend to be more spatial visual learners, preferring diagrams, charts, and physical demonstrations. Women, on the other hand, often lean towards verbal learning, finding strength in written or spoken words. Again, these are general trends and not strict rules. Next up, let's consider body language interpretation. Studies suggest that women typically have a better grasp on interpreting nonverbal cues like facial expressions and gestures. Men, however, often rely more heavily on the spoken word. This might explain why some men are accused of missing obvious signals. Now, how about reaction to criticism? It's been found that men are generally more resistant to criticism, often viewing it as a personal attack, while women tend to take it more constructively, as an opportunity for improvement. Of course, individual reactions can vary greatly. Lastly, we have sensory perception. Did you know that women generally have a keener sense of smell compared to men? In contrast, men usually have a stronger sense of spatial awareness. This is likely due to evolutionary factors, with each gender developing strengths that were once crucial for survival. Each of these points highlights the rich tapestry of differences that exist between men and women. And remember, these are not absolutes. There's a wide spectrum of human behavior and everyone is unique. But understanding these general trends can help us appreciate the diversity and depth of human experience. These differences offer a glimpse into the complex world of gender dynamics. Finally, we reach our last set of differences, which might make you rethink some of your preconceived notions about gender. Let's dive right in. Firstly, humor style. Men tend to prefer slapstick and playful banter, while women often lean towards wit and wordplay. Next, dietary habits. Men are generally more inclined to consume meat and carbohydrates, whereas women often favor fruits and vegetables. Moving on to shopping behavior, men typically seek efficiency and practicality, while women tend to enjoy the browsing process and place value on the overall experience. Our fourth difference lies in sleep patterns. Men usually have shorter sleep cycles, whereas women often require a bit more shut-eye. Lastly, we delve into the response to fear. Men are more likely to respond with fight or flight, while women might tend towards the tend and befriend approach. In conclusion, while these differences between men and women are intriguing, it's important to remember that we are all unique individuals with our own traits and characteristics. In the past 10 minutes, we've explored a wide range of differences between men and women. We've journeyed through the intricacies of our brains, bodies, and behaviors, from the physical differences in our hearts and brains to the nuances in our communication and emotional processing. We've delved into how men are often more task-oriented while women are typically more relationship-oriented. We broached the realm of stress responses, discussing how men tend to fight or flee, while women often tend and befriend. These differences may seem small or, at times, perplexing, but understanding them can truly enhance our interpersonal relationships. It can foster empathy, patience, and a deeper sense of understanding. It invites us to celebrate our unique quirks and qualities rather than letting them divide us. Remember, it's these differences that make us unique and interesting, so embrace them, understand them, and most importantly, respect them.